11 or higher is a pass.
For what?
I'm not telling you what for because that will give away the game.
Save his ass.
Crit fail.
Oh god. Good god. This game just fucking...
Sam, you rush over to the cleric as his body slumps to the ground. You kind of catch him in your arms. That Dave picked up for me, as well as the desert glass. Now, this piece is absolutely stunning, and this is what I was hoping for. This is almost a gem-style cut piece of meteorite. It's been etched, and it's got a beautiful etch to it, but it also has this bit of crystal in the bottom. I'm not sure what the crystal is. I haven't looked at it under a high enough magnification yet. But this is a gorgeous piece. And basically Dave said as soon as he saw that, he just knew I was going to love that. Because that's the kind of thing I could basically put a little band of silver around the outside to hold it in place and hang it on a chain. This would make a pendant without having to do anything at all to the metal. The metal's completely stable. I don't have to worry about it rusting. How awesome does this look on stream? I can't tell. Okay, there we go. Finally run into the joint. Put some more heat on it, nonetheless. Almost from a shadow that suddenly filled behind the back of the altar, and another figure steps through, almost as if he's stepping out of a smoky room. This figure is wearing similar dress, but he is completely covered head to toe in a feathered robe, a full feathered cloak. The hood and the headdress is still there. The small depiction of the falcon head is still on where the person's head should be, but you see no face. You just see blackness with little sparkles, almost as if you're looking into a portal of the night sky. He steps forward to the altar, lays both hands down on the altar, and looks to you all in turn.
Stand and be judged.
Okay, we are good. Just got the microwave warming up. Hasn't been used for a few months. I haven't been in the workshop for a while, so this is going to be the first workshop stream for a long time, and it is to do some repairs on Sam's feather, which she broke. I think the cat got to that. Oh, she included the bracelet. Okay, I need to. Oh, how How long did she want the bracelet? She didn't tell me how long she wanted the bracelet. Now, when I sent this to her, I thought this was silver. This little clasp thing. Because I found it just knocking around in the like the parts bin. It turns out it's not. It's silver plated because that's worn away quite badly. So I'm going to have to replace that because I'm not going to stand for this, which is Damascus silver and gold. There you go, drinking game. I said Damascus. Said it twice now. Take 2 shots. I'm not going to stand for that to be hanging on a piece of brass because that's basically scrap. So I need to find a replacement for that pendant. Now I can make one out of 2 rings. But there may be an old one in my scrap tin that I can repurpose. That will save a hell of a lot of time. I'm doing this today because I got back from Sam's last week. I flew out there to surprise her for her birthday. She was indeed surprised. God, was she ever surprised? Yeah, that was so wholesome. I can't remember the last time I saw her that happy, even on stream. So I'm glad I did that. It cost me an absolute butt ton of money, but I'm glad I did that. So we need a ring and we need a clasp. Now there's a clasp. I've got a feeling that's going to be the same as same problem. That's going to be brass. It's been silver plated. I'm not 100% sure, and there's no way to be 100% sure because I don't think this itself is hallmarked. So these little hanging clasps that you use to thread a chain through, they would normally be hallmarked if they were silver, and this one isn't. So I think this is going to go the same way. So we're not using that piece of junk. There's a little ring that's already been turned up. That will be handy. I can use that. Because I've got to replace the ring that's on the feather. And oh, that looks nice and small. Use that. Okay, that's just fitting on there. That's going to be quite delicate. I like that. Okay, right. We have our pieces there. Okay, that's what we're working with. I don't know why that's in there. That should be in the big bag. So, the way you make links like this, whether you're doing a chain or whether you're just doing something to hang a chain on, you want a circle of silver or an oval of silver, or whatever shape you want to go for. The way you do it is you take some silver wire, so silver wire that you either buy in wire form, or you take a piece of silver, you mill it, you get it into a rod shape, and then you have what are called drawdown dies, which is basically a large plate of metal with holes, like conical holes drilled in it. You feed the wire and you pull it through, and that stretches the wire and pulls it down to shape. I don't actually have that set up here because I need a vise to hold it, to clamp the drawdown dies in. The big vise is downstairs in the garage. I will be getting a vise up here soon. I'll just be getting a small one because I just don't have the room. So I'll get a small little vise and mount it in here for that purpose. But you pull the wire through the plate, and the cone shape kind of forces the silver out, stretches the silver, makes it thinner and thinner and thinner. Once you've done that, you then wrap it round a rod, a mandrel, and heat it, let it temper, let it harden, and then it holds that shape. And then all you need to do, if you want a link, you just cut one link off the spiral, which is what that is. It's a little bit beat up. I'm going to have to clean that up quite a bit because there's a few marks in there from the tools. But you cut one link off the spiral, and then it'll normally be separated slightly like this. And then you just squeeze that together, make sure it's flush in between, and then there you go. You've got one link of a chain. Now in this case, this has been clipped with some nippers. So rather than sawn off, it's been just clipped off. And what that means is that when you use nippers that kind of nip together like this, the blades are smooth on the top there, but they have a bevel on the inside, kind of like the way my thumb is shaped. So when you get your cut, you get a sharp bit on one side and then a beveled edge on the other. Welcome, Murray, and that's what I've got here. So if I stop dropping it, up the fingers today. Where did you go? That's the whole point of having the skin here, so that when I do drop stuff, they don't end up on the floor. I don't think I shaped my bench skin in quite the right shape. Right, here we go. So in this case, because the I've skipped over the billets into the bench. Oh wow, this is not turning out to be a good morning. I haven't been in the workshop for so long. Everything feels kind of alien and out of place. Right, let's get back to this. Right. So the way to get rid of that bevel, you could file it, which is how I originally thought. Well, back in the day when I was still learning, I thought, oh, just file it off. No. The smarter way to do it is to coil the two pieces over each other so that it's back into its spring-like shape, so that it's overlapping slightly, and just use a saw blade and cut straight down, and then you get a perfectly parallel cut because you're using the kerf of the saw, the thickness of the saw blade, to straighten up those two ends. Let's see if I can do this without taking my fingers off. So this way, even if I don't cut straight, I'm cutting the same pattern on both pieces of the ends of the metal, which means they will line up perfectly. And the cut will be perfectly square. I just missed a tiny bit off the bottom. Just clean that up. a little tail of silver, just like a little hangnail of silver just sticking out that corner. So now what I've now got is a gap between those two pieces, and to do that, instead of squeezing it together, so you're doing that and then suddenly one pops out and you end up with a mangled bit of metal. What you do is you bend it apart so it's an open link, squeeze it together there, and then pull it back into position and give it a little twist over. So I squeeze it together to put some tension in the back of the ring. Pull it back under tension, slide it over, and then release. So that is now nicely lined up. And that's ready to be soldered. I'll shape it after it's soldered. And then the same with this one, the little teeny tiny one down here. This is the one that's going to go onto the feather itself. So I need to flatten that out. Join the two ends of the spiral together, which is where it will join at the tip of the shaft of the feather. This is a little bit thicker and a little bit harder. Let's get a good grip on this one. I need sharper bladed pliers. There we go. And so close it up, give it a little squeeze to close them together, and then give it a twist to line them up. And that's that one done. So that's going to thread into this. So I've got to attach that to the feather. Then I've got to thread this through that, which means that I have to shape that first, because I can't shape this once this is on it. Right, okay, there's an order of working here, and I almost ignored it. That could have been awkward. So do I have a mandrel fine enough that I can shape that piece? I should do. That's not it. Oh, these are the draw plates. So these are the draw plates. They look manky because they've got wax all that's stuffed inside them. But this is a cone-shaped hole that's been drilled. So you feed the silver in that side, it comes out a smaller hole this side, and it stretches and draws the metal down into the right diameter. And as you can see, there's quite a lot of different sizes there, and there are also different shapes of draw plate. This one's triangular. These are round, but just smaller. So you have a roll pin. It's way too small, actually. Now you can see what's happening. As soon as I'm trying to shape it, it's opening up. And that's going to be a problem. So we might have to do this we might have to do this as the second piece. Because otherwise, if I have to keep reshaping this, it's going to end up getting knackered. Oh, I can't see. So again, keep them side by side, bend it past the point that I want, and then pull it back and give it a twist, and then it will hold itself in tension. So this one's already perfectly round. I don't have to worry about that one. This isn't. So I'm going to solder this first, then put it through the conical die to shape it, and then we'll come back and attach this to the feather, and then we'll attach it to, and then we'll loop it. Well, we'll loop this through this. Got to get the order of operations right, or it could go horribly wrong. Right, that is my job sheet for Dale's ring. That's on the wall. What do I need? I need solder. Medium, not to medium. I think we'll go hard solder for the loop. Yeah, we'll use hard solder for the loop. Actually, no. I'm not going to use hard solder. There's a lot of thermal mass in there, and it's I'm likely to melt the metal before I get. I still don't know what this one is. Let's cut a piece of this up and see what it is. This has been thinned out on the mill, just so you can be a bit more economical with the amount of solder that you use. But it's not stamped. My dad would normally stamp a little H or an M or something onto it, so that you know what type of solder it is. So it's unusual that it hasn't been stamped. Now, normally he would know. He'd just look at that and think, oh, yeah, that's medium. It's that kind of bendy. It's the right color. It's the right shape. It's a Tuesday. He'd know straight away exactly what it is. I don't, because I'm not the one who did it. Right, we need soldering mats. So we'll come back to the little one. We'll do the little one last. This one's going to get done first. Zoom out a bit so you can see everything that's going on. So this is the borax that I'm using to clean the solder out. Clean out, sorry, not the solder, the joints. Kind of looks like a mortar and pestle, but that's borax slurry. So that's what you see me painting onto a joint when I'm soldering. Yeah, that's nice and square. It was. There we go. Micro weld on. There was something just double beeped at me. That's not usually good. Cameras are still showing, so that's all right. I've got my piece of solder here, and I've got another leftover piece from a previous job here. So I've got 3 little bits of solder that will make that a nice strong joint. Check the machine is running. Got good flow. Lights coming on straight away. Close off. Wait 30 seconds. Flashes on briefly after 15. I don't think that's great, but I think we're all right. Turn the light off so I can see what's going on. I just fell off the brush. Bloody typical. So this overhead light that I use is so bright, which is good, but it's so bright that I can't see my flame, which is dangerous because if I just even play this across my body, it'll burn clean through. This is like almost like a scalpel. This flame is so hard, fast, sorry, sharp as a point. So that's that done. Leave that there to cool off a bit. See if I can find that bit of solder that fell off. No, that's not it. I think that was medium. That little scrap that I got off, I think it was medium. It felt like medium. Also, when it's thinned out like that, you don't use as much, and it's easier to melt the solder. You don't end up heating up the piece too much. I'm just trying to remember what my dad taught me back in the days. Right, let's get the pendant attached to this other loop. Now it did break, so because I'm not using the original loop, it broke partway down. Because I'm not using that original ring, this is now slightly shorter than it was. It's not ideal, but I can't really do anything about that. Because the nature of the metal means that I can't just add a bit onto it. So just squaring that off so I've got a nice clean edge to attach. So it's going to be about 1 millimeter, maybe 2 millimeters shorter than it was. But, you know, that's okay. As I kept saying, Sam was so stressed out that she thought she damaged it or that she'd broken it beyond repair. And it's like, no, it's nothing that can't be fixed. I mean, I made it from a lump of metal, from several lumps of metal. I can fix it. Yeah, you just need to get it to me. That was the bit that was challenging, was actually her getting it to me so I could do the repair. Well, I'm going to open up this ring because I need to be able to thread it onto the ring we just repaired. Let's get this opened up. Howdy Dale. Actually, jewellery shop this time. I'm not working on your piece today. I do need to order that part. But today I'm repairing Sam's Damascus gold and silver feather that I made her. It got broken. She was devastated. She thought it was destroyed. And she was so upset she refused to send it to me because she was terrified that she'd ruined it. Yep, that's cooled down now. So while I was out in Canada, I picked that up. It was not the reason I went. Honest. Let's get this rounded out. Let's see, 10 mil should be plenty. If it doesn't slip, which it did. So that's got a slight oval to it, which is quite pleasing. I like that. I'm going to leave that oval shape in there. Now, I do need to clean it up a little because there's some tooling marks on the outside. Right, there it goes again. Where did you fall, little one? Come back to me. Where did you fall? I think you may have gone either under my chair or under the bench. Gone under the bench, I think it'd be awkward. Right, it's going to be a job to find now when we get the torch. Check it's not stuck in my shoes or anything weird like that, because that does happen. Where the hell did that go? Did it go underneath the chest? And underneath my storage trunk. Anything else to get to? Because this thing's heavy and full. Still haven't found it. We've been over again. Aha! There you are. You are hiding, you little bug. Oh! It fell right down under the bench and wedged itself in between the skirting board and the propane tank. I mean, that's just stupid bad luck. It's like when a coin hits the ground and rolls for like 15 meters because it landed right on its edge. It's that kind of stupid. Right, okay. Where was I? Don't need these punch dies anymore. Let's get these back away. Losses. We were cleaning this up. That's what it was. And I must remember, thanks to Marie, thank you, Marie, I can now hallmark, well, maker's mark, I should say, this piece. I can't hallmark it because it hasn't been assayed. But I can put my maker's mark on it because Marie bought me a maker's mark. I had one made up for me. There's a couple of ways you do that. One is to stamp the piece itself, which isn't always possible, especially something like this. And that feather is very delicate, so I don't actually want to stamp anything onto it. The other way is to add like a little plate like this. So this is a cut off from a chain. This one is stamped 925 Italy. Because it was clearly a chain made in Italy and it's 925 silver. So I could reuse something like this and add it to the work. But that means you've got this extra little thing dangling from the feather. And frankly, that would just look awful. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my maker's mark on the back of the feather. Somewhere where you're not going to see it, because obviously it's on the back. But it will have to go on there, and I can finally fully mark this piece. Because when I made it originally, I had a tiny little makeshift bench set up in my garage. I didn't have all the tools. I didn't have my solder. I didn't have the punches. I didn't have anything that I really needed. I just kind of cobbled this together by cutting it out and doing a bit of filing and shaping. So yeah, the fact that I can actually put my maker stamp on that now is going to be very nice indeed. So let's just loop this on. Tiniest bit of solder onto that joint. I do mean the tiniest little bit, because I don't want to solder it to the ring underneath. Is that aligned? Not quite. Every time you hear that little click, it means that the pliers have slipped, which unfortunately means that it's left a mark on the piece, which I'm going to have to polish out or buff out later. But that is the nature of it, because I'm not as good at this as my dad was, obviously. It's dried up already. I've done it again and not had breakfast yet. I think I slept. I was up till 3 last night. Couldn't get to sleep. Actually, I dozed off watching Mando at about 9 p.m. And it's like, oh shit, that means I'm not going to get to sleep now. And that was indeed the case. So end up staying up, doing some more VR racing, getting the VR racing simulator set up and running, which it is now. That's really good. It works very, very well. Sold it to run, but it's only run on one side. So let's help see if gravity can help. Nope, that's not what I wanted. Right. Okay. Instead of running and joining up the ring, it's run down onto the larger ring and welded the two rings together, which is not what I wanted. So I have to break that off and do that again. I might be better off now. Now that I've joined the ring and shaped it, I might be better off cutting the big ring. I should have done it this way. Cut the big ring, get that little ring off, and then reattach the big ring afterwards. Because this needs to be soldered onto the feather first. I'm doing this in the wrong order. I'm getting there. It's been too long since I've been at the bench. Got to think my way through this properly. Can't hurry this. Don't need to hurry it, actually. See who we've got in the room. This laptop is now getting so old, I'm amazed that it's even able to run OBS. Anywho. Right, that should have cooled down by now. I'll find out when I pick it up. Okay, so the solder actually melted the two rings together, which is not what I wanted at all. So I'm going to have to break that off. So that's the little ring broken free from the big ring. Let's now cut the big ring. Up again. Take the little ring off. Now this is all misshapen with a blob of solder in the wrong place, but I'm going to use the solder that's on there to attach it to the feather. And then if it is still all messy, I can use the little drill bit to clean out the bore of it. So there's plenty of solder already on that joint. Plenty of borax on there so I get a nice good join. So I can see what I'm doing. Hello, squirrel. Do you recognize? Hang on, let me zoom in without burning my arm off. Hopefully, you recognize what's down there. And I was saying earlier, Sam, that now that I've got my maker's mark that Marie bought for me, I can actually put a proper maker's stamp onto this for you. Send a grizzly bear to catch a squirrel. One day we will have that conversation about my spirit animal, because most people assume it is some kind of bear. It's not. Even I thought it might have been a grizzly bear, but it's not. So we'll have to have that chat. I was told never to reveal my spirit animal because it would be offended. That's something specific between you and your spirit guide. But if my spirit animal knows me at all, which I'd hope it does, it will then definitely know who Silverstreak is. But yeah, we definitely know who's got a squirrel for a Patronus, don't we? So that's been joined, but I'm going to add more solder to that piece to reinforce it, to kind of bulk it up. Done. That was burning the bench. Right, leave that to cool down a bit. That needs to be cleaned up really well. It's quite messy from that soldering. Howdy, Brian. It's not a wolf, no. That was a nice group shot, the four of us. Especially with Sam in her cosplay. Okay, let's wait for that to cool down. That will need a little bit of hammering, and I'm going to have to run a drill through the center of that because it's kind of clumped up in the center with solder. So I'm going to have to drill that out just to make sure it's got a nice clean opening so it can swing on the chain. Sam, the bracelet. How long do you want the bracelet? And also the original clasp that the feather was hung on, this thing. I didn't realise at the time, but it was silver-plated brass, which is why it's gone yellow. All the silver plating's come off it. I didn't check for a hallmark on it because when I was making this thing, I only had very limited tools. So rather than attach the feather back to this ring, which would be putting gold and silver onto a brass ring and a brass carrier, I'm making a new one out of silver. Let me have a look at the picture you sent me. Because you sent me a picture way back when you got the bracelet. I just don't know if it's God, where did you send me the picture? Christ. You did send me a picture of you with it on and you had it dangling. I just can't remember where you sent me that picture. I think it might have been Instagram, but it would have been ages ago. Scrolling back and all I'm seeing is pictures of Aurora, pictures of stars, clips that I sent you of weirdness, pictures of bun buns, pictures of bun buns, and conversations about poop. You can see why me and Chase got along well, can't you? We're back to May last year, so I don't think it was this long ago. No, we're back to Jan 22, so it's not there. It's not on Insta. Might have been on Discord then. That's all the pictures from last week. Fuck, it's last week already. I still haven't slept off the jet lag. My body clock's all messed up at the minute. But it's already been last week. Marie and I were discussing, Sam, we were talking about this, and I was chatting to Marie about this yesterday, about the possibility of maybe getting a timeshare out in Canada, using some of the money and invest it in a timeshare that I can, like a joint ownership of a property that I can use as a holiday home as and when I choose to. I think we might be getting there. I've got pictures of chains, pictures of stickers, but it's not here. Nope. Because it would have been after you sent me the picture of the broken chain, the broken feather, because I ordered the bracelet after that. So, 'tis not here. Did I save the image? Okay, I don't want to do the chain blind, so when you get home, just grab a piece of string, wrap it around your wrist, like tie a knot in it, leave enough room that you can slide 3 fingers underneath the string for comfort, but tie a knot in it and then cut it and then just measure it on a ruler when you get home. It's not going to take me long to fix that, so I can do that tomorrow. I'm probably doing the workshop again tomorrow, so I'll do the chain once I know the measurement. And I remember you have little baby wrists because I could probably wrap my index finger and thumb around your little baby wrists. Because you're ickle. You're just ickle. So I'm not going to show the full images on here, obviously, but that is. Let me change to full screen view. That still is one of my favourites of the shoot. It's not the one we were talking about. I'm trying to get the reflections of the window out because all you've seen is picking up the background. There we go. So that's still one of my favourites when you're wearing the fox furs. And then this really looks amazing once you zoom right in on it. The detail in the furs, the detail in the eyes, you can almost pick out every eyelash. That lens was so sharp. And I took that picture from, what, 6, maybe 7 feet away? I wasn't really up in your face when I took that image. So it's amazing just how good that came out. Right, I've still got some more soldering to do because I need to fix the ring as well. So let me do that. And then we'll get everything cleaned up and filed, and then we'll be done. This needs a little flattening out because it's no longer flat. No, that needs some more solder on it. There's not enough on there. So, add a bit more solder to that, and we need to do the ring. Massive. Does Matt sell stock in the shop by the kilo? Because look at the size of this bag. I don't even have bags like this big anymore. I used to have quite a few of them, and they ended up all getting used. So, we haven't lost any chains, which is good. Do you not like big face? Is there a problem with big face? Is big face an issue? So was it a clean break? Yes. There's cost. No, it's not a clean break. So can I solder it without? Actually, yes, it was a clean break. I can solder that together quite easily. Okay, that's good. I don't have to file it and bend it and all sorts to get it to join. It should, because this ring is awkward to work on because it's a coil, and you can never get it to sit flat. Right, let me open that up a little bit. Large flat pliers. I think I've still got your ring size written down, so
it's going to have to be resized after I do the work. So let's get this lined up. That's the third work email that's come through. Oh, this is fiddly. Fiddly, fiddly, fiddly. How did you break this again? Did you get your hand shut in a door or something? I think that's what you said. You kind of shut it in a car door. Well, stay in place. Doesn't want to cooperate. It really doesn't. The other four sides. It's pissing me off. It's a big board. I need more space. Yeah, I should have done that in the first place. Just bend the ring straight. And now it's sitting mostly flat. And make sure the angle's right, which it looks like it is. Dale, if you are still in the stream, Silver Streak here is one of my D&D players, but she's the one who went out to Canada to see last week. It was her birthday, and she was not having a good week, and she looked like she needed cheering up. She looked like she needed a damn good bit of cheering up. So, yeah, conspiring between her and her, between her husband and Brian here to not only get out there and surprise her, but also to have like a bit of a meet up and a Twitch mod get together. Because it's the first time I was meeting Brian as well. I mean, dude, I barely knew you, what, 5 hours and you're already sleeping in the same room with me? It's just weird, man. It's just weird. Some weird shit, dude. It's weird shit. Yeah, we were having so much fun while we were out that time started ticking away really fast. And Brian had a 4-hour drive back because he didn't live where I thought he lived. And yeah, he just decided, look, I had a spare bed in the room that I booked, and the staff probably wouldn't notice if there was an extra person at breakfast. They also didn't charge me for any of the extra breakfast when you were around, Sam. The kids, they didn't charge me for any of that. I did ask, but they said it was okay. So definitely going to be staying there again. That's going to be my choice of hotel when I come back for my next visit. And if I do go down the road of investing in like a holiday property or like a part share, then it'll mean that you and the rest of the family will have access to it as well. They're normally run by a management company, so you just have to notify the company that you want to use the property during these particular dates, so that so you don't basically walk in on part one of the other owners midway through their little vacation, or bath, or shower, or family time. Sorry, family making time. Right, we're laid up. Let's get the light out. Let my eyes adjust. I need the big light on in this room, actually. If I turn off the work light, you can't see what I'm doing. All right. How awesome does this look?
almost from a shadow that suddenly filled behind the back of the altar, and another figure steps through, almost as if he's stepping out of a smoky room. This figure is wearing similar dress, but he is completely covered head to toe in a feathered robe, a full feathered cloak. The hood and the headdress is still there. The small depiction of the falcon head is still on where the person's head should be, but you see no face. You just see blackness with little sparkles, almost as if you're looking into a portal of the night sky. He steps forward to the altar, lays both hands down on the altar, and looks to you all in turn.
Stand and be judged.
Oh, Great Emperor, Great Emperor. I, Amid Bahir, leader of the Guild of Merchants. Yes, I know who you are. You are here every Tuesday. Today is not Tuesday. That means I have to see you twice this week. Get on with it. Yes, Great Emperor. Yes, Great Emperor, whose slippers shuffle lightly in the sandy dunes. He turns to the rest of the group. What is this we hear of golem rights? We would want our property back.
Contact with the skin, and that's the only part where your finger's going to sweat a little or it will oxidize. And then this is going to sit kind of hovering over that band. Now, this is already tighter than an O. This is about one size, it's almost 2 sizes narrower. So once I turn up the band, this is going to be opened up slightly, but because it's already got the correct shape, that's going to be easy to do. So the next step is to turn some silver, make a little silver band for the right length. This is then going to be soldered on top of that, and then it's going to kind of float maybe 0.5 millimeter above the finger once it's in place. And then once that's done, then I can start finishing, smoothing off all the rough edges, maybe going back and re-engraving or just deepening some of these grooves that How awesome does this look on stream? I can't tell. Okay, there we go.
Lord King.
If I was a boss mummy, I would have mummy hose too. He needs some milk. Oh God.
Hello.
Hello.
I'm pretty sure this is how you would spell it.
Yeah, the guardian of the secret something or other, lord of the what's it, keeper of the thingamy. Yeah, most people call me Ferro Rocher.
Get out of here.
It's a chocolate coating.
Chocolate and hazelnut crunch.
It is so
Show
rare
us
that
the
we
nuts
have
part and
guests.
you're disowned.
Please. Eric, you've just invented the chicken bazooka.
Yes.
We always knew that you had a
Special attack.
brilliant mind.
Right, special attack. We have to keep a chicken on hand at all
It'll be
times.
XX triangle chicken bazooka. That's both of the bumpers at the same time.
Right. Yeah.
So the question is it's the plan is to curve it. Okay, we're back. Okay, we're back. How much of that did you miss? Did I have it on technical difficulties for long? Or did I just like inadvertently change to it when I tapped on the touchpad? One of the things that was delivered today, you'll find this amusing, Brian, is a bigger suitcase. Because the one that we had, the one that I used this trip was the biggest one that I own. And it was barely big enough to pack in the stuff that I brought. I did bring way too many clothes because I didn't know if I was going to be getting contaminated with cat hair and have to change my clothes daily. So I brought enough clothes that I could have fresh clothes on every day. But it was more than I needed. Plus, I brought quite a bit of extra kit that I didn't need. That bloody tablet, Christ! What a waste of time that was. So I've ordered some larger suitcases, so they've arrived already. Marie, you'll probably recognise they look like Rimowa or Rimowa suitcases, the kind of aluminium sided, but they're actually ABS painted. But they've got that kind of sleek aluminium look. The main thing is that it's an aluminium frame all the way around, and they're latch type. They're not zips, so there's no zips that can burst open. But the actual shell, even though it's painted to look like aluminium in matte silver, it's actually ABS, so they're nice and light. I did look at potentially buying some Rimowa suitcases on eBay, because they do come up every so often secondhand. So I did look into buying some, but they're still bloody expensive. Yeah, the one I had to sit on to get it closed. Yeah, because that Waxley coat, it takes a fair bit of work to get all the air puffed out of it, but we got there in the end. But yeah, I've ordered some bigger suitcases for the next trip because September's definitely going to be a lot of gear required, and I'm going to be over there for at least 3 weeks, so I'll need at least a couple of weeks worth of clothing. And I think there was a laundromat in town that I can use. I'm sure Sam and Matt wouldn't be unhappy about me using their laundry room for a little bit, but again, cat hair and contamination. I am that allergic. Not quite epinephrine and hospital allergic, but very close. Epinephrine and hospital is when I'm getting involved in seafood. So yeah, new suitcases arrived today. I haven't unboxed them yet. And I've got a new monitor coming this evening. They said between 4 and 6, so it could be any time now. So that's why I thought I'd be doing this today. Yeah, it's nice and cool now. Getting this done today wouldn't be a bad idea because I need to be in the house and I can't really go out anywhere anyway. Got to do some grocery shopping, and that's about it for today. Keep all the chains out of the way because I don't want to get them melted. And in bad form, this is not good craftsmanship, to be fair. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some more solder on the inside of the band where I've already repaired it. Add some more solder to thicken that part of the band to kind of bulk it up a bit, and then I'll blend it all together so you won't even know that it's there. You should. It's bad form to do something like that, but this is a repair, and I want to make sure that the joint is stronger than it was to begin with. I do my own taxes, but self-employed. If you're an employee, your company does your tax for you. Your company's HR department does it for you. You only do your own taxes in the UK if you own a business. So in my case, because I'm self-employed, I'm just what we call a sole trader, a one-man band. I have to either get an accountant to do my taxes for me, or in my case, I do them myself. Because I've got a spreadsheet that does all that for me. It's nice and easy. Takes me, Marie knows because she's been there listening to me grumble about it in the past. Takes me about a day to get all the receipts together, sort them out into different types. CapEx, OpEx, fuel, what I can claim, what I can't claim, that kind of stuff. Sort them into different categories. And then everything else is done in a spreadsheet, which is done really fast. Been doing it that way for the last, 5 or 6 years now. Get in there. Thank you. At last. Behave yourself. I know we've got guests. I know people are watching, but just behave yourself. Come on. There you go. Oh, no. See, now you're going to done it again. Right, come on. Yeah, I know you're excited. You've been sitting in the drawer for how many years, and now you're finally getting to do your thing. There we go. Right. I know you can't see this because I'm actually soldering on the back of the camera view. But I'm not going to be able to do this facing the camera. I need to see what I'm doing. I'm trying to do this without melting the chains because those chains are very thin. If I get the flame too close to them, that kind of stuff happens. Right. Okay, back to square one. bit awkward timing. Back in a moment, folks. Oh, hang on, I need a one-time passcode nonsense. Need my phone. My new monitor and carbon fibre tripod have arrived. See if we can keep this in one place while I solder it. Because this damn thing keeps moving around. I have to hold this in place while I attach it. This isn't going to be easy. This is something I'm not good at. Yeah, new monitor. I've been running a triple display for best part of 15 years now. It was three 4x3 monitors, then three 1080p's, which I've got at the moment. Two horizontal, one vertical. So now I've decided that rather than messing around with one monitor that's gaming capable, one monitor that isn't, one monitor that's high refresh rate, one monitor that isn't, now that I've got a good enough graphics card in the machine, I can just get an ultra wide. So I'm replacing all three of them with a nice big ultra wide monitor that my card will have no problem driving. And because I've now got a VR headset that has its own onboard computing, it's on an onboard computing power, and it runs via USB-C, I don't need to feed an HDMI feed. I don't need to send an HDMI feed to it. That looks a bit messy. That could be better. I could redo that. So, right, I'm going from 4 outputs on my monitor to just 2. Don't need the HDMI because the VR headset is now USB-C and it's got its own onboard graphics. I don't need 3 separate monitor outputs because I've now got the one massive ultra wide that will do all of that for me in one go. Bit of an extravagance, but I've been using old second-hand and cheap monitors for so long, and with the camera gear and all the photographs that we're going to be taking in Manitoba, and especially just doing one cosplay shoot with Sam, he's going to end up turning into about 3 or 4 cosplay shoots next time I'm over. I need a monitor that I can have color grading on, because my old existing monitors were like office level screens. They're not pro level screens. I need full, like 96 or 98% RGB coverage, and I need high refresh rate for when I am gaming with that screen. So there's a load of reasons why buying a decent monitor at last is justifiable. Also, the fact that the monitor is normally the last thing you change. You always end up upgrading your PC, but you never change your screens. And it doesn't matter how many FPS you're pushing out of your new graphics card. If you've got a crappy monitor that can't do 120 or 144 hertz, it's not going to look right. I can't remember the exact size. I think it was a 34-inch, but it's the Samsung Odyssey G9, Brian, if you Google that for us. It's a pretty spectacular screen, but short of massive leaps in technology, I haven't bought a new monitor for a decade, and I plan to do the same. This is a massive upgrade. I haven't done any upgrades to the actual PC. It's already in good shape. There's swapping out and putting another new graphics card in will be incremental at best, but I have bought new peripherals, new photo printer, new VR, racing wheel, and now a new screen. So it's now a good setup that I don't have to be worried about needing to upgrade again in a year or two. But yeah, the Odyssey G9 has been dropped in price quite a bit because the G9 Neo which is the second gen version, came out. They made a couple of incremental upgrades to it, but not enough to say, well, if you've got a G9, there's no point buying the Neo. And the Neo was almost double the price. So just the G9 standard is the one that I picked up. But hopefully the courier hasn't mangled it in transport. I can't see if that's... Yeah, that's the one, the Odyssey G9. I think it was a 34-incher. This is going to need a hell of a lot of cleanup. Let's get our feather back on the deck. I need to reinforce the back of that with some more solder. That's medium solder. I should probably go for soft. But I want to melt the joint that's already there. Done that once already just now. So let's go for extra soft solder. And make sure we're working on the back. We are. Right, this isn't marked, and I'm going to run it through the mill, which means I need to mark it. So I need my dies. Oh, you can't see my dies. Let me zoom out. So I need an X and an S. So there's my X. Why are these not in alphabetical order? That's the kind of thing that bugs me. I'm gonna have to go back and do that. So extra soft. Let's cut a piece off, run it through the mill, thin it out, and then I'll stamp it. Because at the moment it's about a half a mil thick, but that's pretty thick for solder. It'll take some heat to get that to melt. And by the time I've done that, the whole point of easy melt solder is it melts really quickly before any other solder joints heat up and start loosening. 49-inch. Okay. I might have got a bit carried away with that one then. I'm not sure my desk is big enough. Oh, the one thing that we didn't get to do with Sam is go for a curry. It's I ordered her that curry that time, and I really wanted to sit down and have a curry with her. I completely forgot about that. So I'll have to do that on the next trip as well. I can't get that any thinner without it binding up in the mill. Right, little anvil. I'll get the hammer out. We'll stamp this so that I don't forget what it is. I need to stamp the other one as well. Glasses. I don't have a room in my computer space for a new desk, so that's going to be awkward. There's my S. The other piece while I'm at it. Right. In the bin. What am I doing? Reinforcing this piece and a little groove down the back of the feather for the solder to run into. I want the solder to stick to one very specific part of this. So if I rough that up, the solder will bind to it much quicker. And that'll help strengthen that piece because that is a weak point. The metal was so thin when I was working on it. Right. Yep. Pull it up. That's how soft, extra soft or extra easy solder is. It took almost nothing to get that to join. So we've got a reasonably strong joint there, and it's flowed along the back of the feather a little as well, so that's going to reinforce that. Let's put a touch more on the top. And then I've got to clean up that loop because it's filled with crap now from all the soldering. Tiny bit more. I really should have had something to eat, but I need to do a grocery shop. I hate going food shopping. I cannot abide supermarkets. I really hate them. That was even before the pandemic. It's worse now. Me going into a supermarket feels like going into a combat zone. just reinforce the top. And then we'll get it in the acid pickle, get everything cleaned up. Oh, whoops. That was bad. Okay, well, my ring is now a blob of metal. A little bit too much heat on that, and now my stem and my feather's a bit shorter. Crap. Right, back to the drawing board. The feather itself is fine, it's just the stem on it's a bit shorter now, but the ring is gone. The ring's ruined. Too much heat. Too much heat. Find a replacement now. That was bad. I should not have done that. I should have known better. Ooh, that could come in useful. This is part of a. I mean, these two rods here. These were part of a set that I was making for Abby's piece, and I had some leftovers. So I've already got a ring attached to a rod. I can tack that onto the end of the feather and blend that in. Or I could fuck it up and just make it all worse. Because I've fucked things up a couple of times already today. This is supposed to be another one of my allegedly quick jobs. Look how long this is taking. Should know better by now. Nothing's ever going to be quick. Don't need you. Don't need you yet. You are my fallback option. Let's get the feather sorted first. Which is the better side? This side. But it's incredibly thin. I've got to be really careful here. I do not want to melt the feather itself as a whole. I'm forgetting just how thin this metal was drawn out. Did I just drop that again? Oh, there it is. They're good pretzels. Nice and crunchy. They're the extra baked ones, which we don't get the super crunchy ones over here in the UK. So easy. Things like the sour cream ones, I can find, but those super crunchy ones, not so easy. And I like those. I did like those. Right, that's attached. Some of the metal actually fused there, which is probably going to be a good thing. That'll make it a stronger joint. That needs to be cleaned up in the acid pickle now. And then I need to reprofile that because the bit I've added is actually thicker than the piece it's been added to. So let that cool down for a bit. Drop that in the acid and then I'll kind of file it away, get it shaped nicely. It's a lot thicker on the back than it was, which is again good. But I was so close to fucking that up. I'm hungry and I'm tired. I think that's all it is. It should have eaten. So we're nearly done. I've got to do some cleaning up on the ring because the ring's just coming out of the acid now. That will have gotten all the scorch marks and what have you off of it. And then once the ring is cleaned up and I've gotten all the extra solder out, it's looking nice, then all that I have to do then is polishing, and I can't do any of that on stream because all that equipment's downstairs in my garage. That's my tool set. Why is that down there? That doesn't need to be there. No. There's my favourite screwdriver. I'm not happy with this ring. This is ugly. It hasn't joined straight on. It's kind of joined at a weird angle. But this is proving so awkward to do. I have to reheat it and just manipulate it with tweezers while it's hot and see if I can get it into a good position. This, again, I don't like. This is not ideal. Might have done it. Drop it in the acid and we'll have a look. I think I might have got it on square. There's a lot of crap on there. Oh, I forgot how exhausting this can be. Yeah, that was the smallest bag of pretzels they had. I would have liked one half the size, because then I would have snacked on them while I was in the hotel room, which is what I was doing. And then I would have taken maybe half of what you had, Brian. I would have taken half of that with me in the drive. but I wouldn't have needed more than half. But yeah, it was the smallest bag they had in the shop, which was funny, amusing. I think the batteries in my mouse are gone. Um, I couldn't pay mine because apparently you can't pay them online. So what'll happen is my toll charge, because I had to take the 407 to the airport because there was a lot of traffic. My toll card is going to go straight to the hire company, who will charge me the $5 toll and then charge me a $25 admin fee for handling. Is what it is. I'm not going to complain about that. I spent more than that just trying to get into one of the airport lounges so I could have somewhere reasonably quiet that I could sleep. Because I was when I was at from Pearson, my flight from Pearson went ahead on time, so I got there with maybe an hour to spare, so that was good. When I landed in the UK, we landed early, but I'd left a minimum 4 hours between my second connecting flight because British Airways has a habit of losing your luggage or there's no gate staff available. And 4 hours was just brutal on me. I was just trying to survive that 4 hours. I was in a cafe, had a nice big full English breakfast, and I fell asleep at the table. So I was transferring all the images off the memory cards and onto my phone, and that kept playing up because the little USB hub was overheating, and I didn't want to damage the card and risk losing the entire shoot. So I had all my gear spread out in front of me, and I was eating and I think it was my third coffee, and I was just sitting there just doing that, like kind of rubbing my eyes, and next thing I know, it was like an hour later, or like half an hour later, I'd passed out right there at the table. Bless them, the staff didn't wake me up, they just left me to it. And like some other people had sat down on the table next to me, and they'd already gotten their food, so I must have been out for at least half an hour. And they didn't complain at all or anything, but I was just so wiped out on the way back because I didn't sleep that much that morning. And then the drive back, I'm driving back, I can feel my eyelids fluttering, I'm slapping myself to wake myself up, opening the window, stopping from Tim Hortons, but I needed to get to the airport at a certain time, otherwise I could be at risk of missing my flight. So I had to go. I couldn't afford more than one stop. So I'm kind of slapping myself and splashing water on my face, trying to keep myself awake in the Jeep on the drive back. Got to Pearson, got the car dropped off. They faffed around in the hire company because I knew they would, messing around for ages. But got all that sorted, and I made it through security really fast actually, and then had about maybe half an hour wait for the actual plane, which was good. That was about as good a timing as I could have hoped for. And then basically just wiped out when I got to Heathrow, sitting around for ages just waiting for things to happen. Right, what do I have to do? I need to check that ring to make sure the join is clean. I need to clean that up. I'll probably use the drill to do that. Just use the buffing bit to clean that up. Get rid of all the crap. Smooth down the excess solder. blend the join in. Then I need to reshape it because the ring's all out of shape now. I've got to coil it back around the mandrel. I still have Sam's ring size in my completed jobs bag. Even though I'm not working commercially, but I'm still going to keep a record of all the jobs that I've done because, like I said, for example, this has got her ring size on it. Actually, not that one. So I've got my little bag of completed jobs. And then this job itself also has a job sheet. Again, I'm not charging for any of this. I'm not running a business that I need to keep track of this kind of stuff. It's just kind of good practice to do it. Because then I've got a record of what I did and when. And that makes life a little bit easier at my side. One day, perhaps, when somebody starts questioning, oh, what are you doing with all these tools? And can you demonstrate that you're actually using them for business purposes? Otherwise, we'll slap a load of tax on you. That kind of stuff. Right. So we'll get these done. I'm not going to be able to finish the entire process on stream. So some of this has to be done down in the garage downstairs because that's where the polishing mops are. I'm missing a paintbrush. I seem to be. I'll find you later. Let's see how these came out. I think the ring actually is. Yeah, the rings come out decent. So blend that down. The feather that needs a little bit of shaping just to blend it together, but that's looking good. Okay, we're in business. Well, we're not in business. This is a hobby, according to the taxman. So I added a ring with a rod on it to the top of the feather to give it some of its length back. But that piece was thicker than the feather itself, so I'll just have to flatten that down and blend it in. I don't want to take any material off the feather at all. It's already way too thin. So I'm just blending it down very gently. I did put some solder on the back of the feather, on the back of the quill. That's just to give it a little bit more strength. So I need to tidy that up so it doesn't look as ugly. Yeah, I know it's the back. You're not going to see it. No one else but Sam would ever see it. But the point is, it doesn't. It looks ugly at the moment. So I just need to clean that up, make it blend it together better, just so it doesn't look so obvious. Right, we're nearly done. Maybe something a bit more aggressive for that bit. Files out. Now that Sam has seen a Star Wars, I know she hasn't seen Revenge of the Sith yet. That's where we're up to. And then she's got to watch the prequel trilogy. Do you think, Brian, that now might be a good opportunity for her to watch Mandalorian? Because we've kind of turned Monday nights into like Discord watch party with Last of Us. And I already missed that. I mean, I'm already missing Sam an absolute ton. I've only been back a few days. I'm already planning my next trip out there, but once we get our PC up and running, which should be tonight, once she gets back from work, I'm going to take her through how to swap out the power supply. Get our Discord, our Monday night Discord watch party going, and maybe switch to something like Mandalorian. No, hang on. I've got Discord open. This laptop can barely cope with stream. It's chugging away just trying to get Discord open. Oh, your figures. So what, you got your card sheets, and what else was it? Was it a figure? I mean, the reason why I'm picking The Mandalorian is because of all the Disney produced Star Wars nonsense, this is Mando has been probably the closest to the original Star Wars in feel, and in vision. And it's mainly because Favreau and Filoni are such hardcore Star Wars nuts. But some of the stuff that Dave Filoni is doing might have worked when he did Rebels and Clone Wars, but it doesn't necessarily translate onto the big screen with live action. It might be comedy and campy as an animation, but when you get to real actors, it starts to look a bit out of place and cheesy. But by and large, most of what he's done has been good. It certainly passes my very stringent approval process, because I've got very high standards when it comes to Star Wars, because I grew up with the originals, and there was nothing else for so long. And now all of a sudden there's this influx of just utter garbage in comparison. Oh, no, it's meant for the new fans. Well, no, it's meant for all fans. You can't just alienate the core of your community because you're producing crappy work and that's your excuse. Oh, it's only for the new fans. Oh, it's only for kids. Star Wars was never meant for kids. It was just kid-friendly because it was PG-13. So, yeah, Kathleen Kennedy is going to be getting the chop from Disney soon anyway. Her reign has not been without problem, and she is being usurped. Could have happened to a nicer person. I'm glad she's earned millions and millions of dollars by being what is effectively George Lucas's T-boy, because that's how she started. Getting George Lucas's coffee. She was his production assistant way back when he first started. So yeah, she's certainly risen up the ranks, and she's done well for herself. I won't knock her for that. But did she have George's vision? I doubt it. And she's demonstrated, I think, over the last couple of years that she really didn't care about Lucas's legacy and cared more about those big money Disney dollars and the political agenda that she's been pushing. I mean, Phantom Menace had enough politics in it before she goes adding even more. Yes, I'm getting controversial, but I'm just talking out loud while I'm working. Okay, that's done. So that's been blended together nicely. I'm going to have to polish it to see how much more needs to be done. I don't want to take too much off the back because the back is about strength, but it does need to kind of blend in. And then we'll solder that together. So that's almost done. This, I'm going to have to use the drill So let's get the drill out and the buffing wheel. It's when I'm doing this kind of stuff that, especially that I'm sitting here at my dad's tools, albeit my workbench, but it's his tools. That he was starting to teach me, but didn't really get the chance to finish the process. This is when I'm feeling his absence the most. Man down, man down, man down. Need that. It's a disc. I don't need a disc. I need a slot head. Where's the other slotted head? There we are. So I've got two types of paper here. We've got some, I think this is 100 grit, and then we've got some emery paper, which is like 600 grit. So that will do most of the work for me. There's my foot switch gone. There's my pedal. Got to get things lined up just right when I'm using this, because I'm not very delicate on the pedal. I'm a bit heavy-footed. So what I try and do is get because the chair I'm sitting on is it's an office chair. It's got like a 5-legged spider on the bottom with the wheels. And I'm lining the pedal up against exactly one of those wheels. One of the arms, so I can rest my heel on the chair leg, and then I've got much finer control over the pedal. Don't want to take off too much, I'm just blending it in. This is used up. I need a fresh piece. Do I have any fresh in there? I don't think so. Got some strips that I've cut off, but no, I'll cut a new piece. Now, where were they? Cutting emery paper with scissors is bad for the scissors. I am aware. Make sure I got this the right way around. I always forget which way this spins. Got it the wrong way around. Still got it the wrong way around. How many times do I have to do this? There we go. Okay, we're doing good. So now I need to make this round again, which means mandrel. So this is going to go in there, and I'm going to have to hammer this back into shape. And the chains got tangled up there. Occupational hazard, I suppose. The key thing is none of the chains got melted together, because that would have been very bad if that had happened. So, let's get you. I need to cut a little groove in the edge of my bench. So it's not done yet. You can still see that there has been work done there. There's a few lumps that I need to smooth out, but I can't take too much off because that's going to end up being a weak spot again. So I'm gonna give it a little bit more just to blend it in some more, so it doesn't look so lumpy. Brian, I don't know if you caught the video clip that I did last night when I was driving in VR. It works so much better than I was expecting. I mean, to be fair, if you catch a ring in a car door, there's not really much that's going to save the ring. If the ring survives at all, it's a good thing because that's protected your finger. So whether the ring had a weak spot or not, I don't think anything that I would make would survive being shot in a car door. Unless I'd hardened the metal. And I didn't harden the metal because I didn't know. Well, if you temper the metal and make it nice and hard, it makes it brittle, but also it means that get that one out, swapping out to the fine paper. Also, it means that if you do catch it on anything, it could break, yes, but it also means that you can't resize it because just by resizing, like squeezing it down to fit your finger, you're actually doing damage to the structure of the metal. Not much, granted, but it had to be soft enough that she could size it to her finger because I didn't know which finger she was going to wear it on. Little bits of paper flying off all over the place. Okay, That's that mostly done. Rest of the polishing is going to have to be done downstairs in the garage on the polishing mops, which are the cloth discs things that spin. Let me turn this light on so you can actually see me. Yeah, they're going to have to be done on the polishing mops. The feather, I'm going to be very gentle with this, because this is not really designed for something as fragile. I still need to do some blending in there. Now, either that delivery of Sam's has taken a long time to process, or her battery's gone flat. I'm banking on the latter. Right, I still need to do some soldering on this piece, because I've got to solder that closed, and then I've got to solder this ring onto that. So we're not done yet, but we're nearly finished. Thank fuck for that. Because this should not have taken as long as it has. I am very, very hungry and getting a bit dizzy. So let's try and get this pushed out, get this done without rushing it. So, what do I need? Get the tissue out of the way because that's flammable. I need my borax. Zoom out. I need my heat pads. Those anymore. So that's now scrap metal. We'll melt that down later. Right. Tiny bit of solder just on the edge. Let's see, what have we got? So let's give this a bit of a clean. It's kind of grimy under there. Some nice clean borax in. That's going to make a mess all over my clothes, not a problem. Everything I'm wearing here needs to go in the laundry. So I'm going to close up this ring. And then we're going to thread the larger ring through this. And then close that up. I'm going to do this without getting too much heat near the stem of the feather, because that I don't want to melt off the ring. So I'm focusing the heat on the top of the ring rather than the bottom. Messy, but it's there. Not looking particularly tidy. Not happy with that. Not happy with that at all. Gonna redo that. Cut that off the ring. Cut off the ring and redo the ring because there's all kinds of crap built up on it now. So I'm going to cut the ring off, leave the stem, and then attach another ring to it. Hanging around with her in the store last week because I was there for a couple of days while we wait for a shift to finish. It's quiet in the mornings and you get a little rush just about lunchtime, and then it's quiet again all the way through till maybe 2 in the afternoon, and then you get another rush. The week I was there was the week that the kids were off school as well, so that probably made things a little bit more spread out during the day. Whereas this week, for example, she's kids are back at school, so I'm expecting come 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, things are going to start getting crowded again. done. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to heat this ring up now that it's finished. Heat up that band area just a little bit, and then I'm going to quench it. That's going to make it nice and hard. I want to heat it up enough that all the solder starts to melt. Just get it warm enough that when I drop it into the acid, it'll shock the metal, and that'll make it nice and hard. Just till the metal starts to sweat. So this is going in hot. Means it will cool down very rapidly and the metal won't stay in its crystalline structure. This is going in cool, so the metal's had time to relax. And then the last thing I need to do is just this final loop, which will be what the chain threads through. And then we'll be done. Whew. This took way longer than I planned. So, I've got a couple of suitcases to unbox. It was a set of 3. It's cheaper than buying the one that I was planning to buy. And I didn't want a suitcase with a zip. Don't know if any of you know this, but my friend Kieran used to work at Stansted Airport. He was the airside terminal manager. He was basically one of 3 that would be on duty at any one time. And obviously he gets involved in all the different parts of the operation, from baggage handling to security checks to emergency diversions, and then military having to turn up on the airfield. He got involved in everything. And when you have a suitcase that's got a zip all the way around it, like a clamshell with a zip all the way around, people do things like they'll put locks on their suitcase, which is a good thing to do. You need to make sure your suitcase is locked so that nobody can. It's not so much steal anything, but sneak anything into your suitcase, which you are then legally liable for if you go through customs and get caught with it. But also, because TSA regulations and security have to be able to scan it and check it, if they think that there's something dodgy in there, if they run it through the X-ray scanner at the baggage side of the airport, so not when you come out, not going through customs or going through security, I mean this is checked luggage. They've got their X-ray scanners and they're X-raying everything. And if you've got a TSA lock, obviously there's a little key that the TSA have. They can open up the suitcase and check it, repack it. That's fine. But sometimes people will just use straight padlocks. I prefer to use straight padlocks than a TSA lock. But that's because I don't travel in North America very often. One of the things that Kieran taught me was that, not that he's done this, but he's seen it done, is the quickest way to get into a zipped bag, whether it's got a padlock on it or not, is just take a ballpoint pen and stab it into the zip. And that separates the teeth of the zip, and then you can just pull it apart. Doesn't matter where the zips are, doesn't matter how securely padlocked they are, you basically punch it through the teeth of the zip. So you separate the teeth, and then the zip will just come apart. Which is sometimes what happens when the baggage is getting handled and it pops open. And then what they can do is they can then open up the bag and then zip it back. You then run the zip reverse way, and it will reseal the zip, even though it was padlocked to begin with. So just because you put a padlock on a zipper suitcase doesn't mean they can't open it and check it. But that's quite a common thing now, and that's quite common knowledge. So sometimes in the dodgier areas, like when you're traveling back home in the Caribbean, it wasn't uncommon for my grandparents to have their suitcases cut open with like a Stanley knife. Back when they had like soft vinyl skin suitcases, they'd cut them open and just look through for anything quickly that they could steal. And when your suitcase finally comes out on the belt, it's got a great big slash through the side of it. So my grandparents, being my grandparents, they switched to buying big hard shell clamshell luggage, like the old Delsey ones where you only had two wheels in the corner and you had to lift it up and drag it behind you like a caravan. They switched to those types of suitcases. And then it was like, what, 2 decades later that spinner cases came out, where you've got spinner wheels on all four corners and you can just kind of stroll along with them. But in my grand's head, 5 mil thick of ABS with a locking system and no easy way to get into it because it's a stainless steel ring that locks together and then the bolt goes through or the latch goes through. And then you've got like 5 mil thick of ABS plastic all the way around. I mean, they don't make suitcases like that for a reason. Because the suitcase itself weighs like 3 or 4 kilos. And my grand, because they've got 2 sets, they had a beige set and a blue set. She kept trying to give them to me when she was clearing the place out. I said, I've got no need for that kind of stuff. I mean, that's the kind of thing I'd have on my roof rack. That's how thick and heavy and unwieldy it is. Traveling through airports is, I mean, world travel is just totally different. But I know they spent an absolute fortune on them because suitcase companies know they'll charge you $300 for a suitcase because you're not going to buy another one for 10 or 15 or 20 years. So they'll charge you through the nose for it. It's way more than this bit of plastic is actually worth. But yeah, those old heavy-duty, thick plastic clamshell suitcases, they were armoured. They were about as armoured as you could get. But those were the days when you could check in 2 bags and there was no weight limits. Now, sometimes the suitcase is heavier than the passenger. Some of the bags that I saw getting checked in, I saw one flight container. Like it was about the size of 2 large suitcases, but it was an armoured box with the latches. Like that's the kind of thing you see DJ or musical equipment getting shipped in. It was basically a wooden box with armoured aluminium corners and there's big massive latches on the side and it separates out. I saw one of those come off the baggage belt, I mean, of all things. And it was jamming up the baggage belt because other suitcases were hitting it. It was barely big enough to get around the carousel without blocking the carousel. So, yeah, I mean, air travel has changed. Air travel has really changed. It's been 20 years since I'd flown international. 22 years, actually. Last time I flew international was when I was graduating and I went over to Canada. So that was the last transatlantic flight I'd made. Every other flight I've made since then has been into Europe and back. And there, you don't even bother with a suitcase. It's hand luggage only. So I'd go in there with like a soft-sided briefcase, my Victorinox bag. Got my laptop in, it's got a little separate compartment that you can put a clean shirt and some underwear and your basic toiletries, and that's it. Everything else you're wearing. And that was how I travelled for the best part of 15 years. Never needed a suitcase unless I was staying more than 3 nights. And even then, I never checked the suitcase in. It was always hand luggage, so I'd always be carrying with a really small little wheelie suitcase. But the set of 3 I bought, I think it's a 40-inch, a 34-inch, and a 22-inch. So hand luggage, large hand luggage, or small check-in, and then the big, definitely going in the hold for a long vacation kind of luggage, because I'm going to need them all. Right, let's check to see how this is looking. It should be done in the acid by now. Lock safe. Oh yeah, that's looking good. That's what I wanted to see. We got there in the end. I threw away the tissue, didn't I? Cleaned out the borax with it. Oh no! I still need to do that last ring. That's what I was doing. What I still have to do. So that's the very last bit. Is that last ring that's going to go onto the feather, and that's what the chain is going to thread through. So this bit has to be attached onto there and soldered into place. Can I zoom in enough? Let me go full. My fingers are covered in silver dust. So if I zoom right in, you can still see the gold edges on the feather. I don't know if the camera's going to focus. Try and focus, come on. So, okay, that's focused. There, you can just see it. You can see the gold edges on the feather. So that's the layer of gold in between the layers of silver. So where I've shaped the metal and kind of buffed it away and sanded it away, it's revealed the edges of the gold. Now I can continue to do that. I could go in with a file and kind of remove more surface material in those cuts to bring out more of the gold. But I think the piece is done and I don't want to mess with it anymore. So I'm going to attach the other loop. We'll get that on, get that soldered into place, and then we will call it a day here because I don't want to mess with it further and do more damage. So this is going to have to go onto the polishing mop. I'm going to have to use the hard mop to get a good cut. And then the soft mop with the rouge to finish off. And then that should be looking pretty much like new again. So, final piece, just a tiny bit of solder just on the end of that loop. And we will be done. I'm going to get my monitor unboxed. Well, I'm going to go and get something to eat before I pass out. Get something to eat. I'm going to get my monitor unboxed. Make sure it's working, hasn't been damaged in shipping because, you know, Amazon. And then I shall start dismantling my desk, which is going to take at least an hour or two to do. That's not going to be an easy job. Where's the weak ones? Where's the strong? They're the strong ones. Right, that's my join. Where's my join? There's my join. The reason I like using these forceps is because they're steel. They're actually pulling some of the heat away from the piece. So where I heat up that bit, right there where I need to heat it, that's where the join's going to be. I don't want too much heat getting around and doing any damage to the rest of the piece. So the forceps will actually pull the heat away. And that means I can keep the heat focused where I want it, which is right there. Borax on there, get that cleaned up. It's more of that extra soft. Just a tiny, tiny piece, that's all we need. Well, I know it cut. Where did it go? I cut too small a piece. Oh, no, that's it. No, is that it? No. Right, this is it. Home stretch. Gotta keep the fire in the right direction. I don't want to point it down at this angle because then it's going to be heating the feather itself. I want to go away from the rest of the piece. So let's clean off the borax. Done. That's it. It's the final piece. So we'll let that cool down. We'll drop that in the acid. And that's about as much as I'm going to be able to do on stream today. The rest will be done in the garage workshop tomorrow when I get the buffing wheels and stuff out. Got the broken off bits of paper from when I was polishing. Tired and hungry. Right, nothing more I can do there. I'm going to wait for that to come out of the acid. In the meantime, let's see if there's anybody online that we can raid. I think it's probably too early for most of our streamers, at least most of the friends. I have to close Discord because this machine can't run OBS and Discord at the same time anymore, it seems. Either the hard drive's getting full and I need to clean up some space, or it's just too old. I think this is a 6th gen Intel laptop. It's about 7 years old now. I bought it when I first went self-employed. So it's had a good run. Need to log into Twitch again. And then, yeah, once the monitor's set up, I can start color grading and processing all the photos. Got to make sure that all the exposures are as close as possible, because snow plays hell with camera exposure, and I wasn't paying as much attention to it as I should have been while we were doing the shoot. I was also overexposing to make sure we could get the images that we were after. So I've got to do color grading, I've got to do light balancing, I've got to do white balancing, I've got to do exposure balancing, maybe a little bit of saturation control just to get a bit more color back into Sam's face, because again, all the snow. Linus Tech Tips is on and he's doing a PC build. Yeah, a couple of them were really light, but that's because I was in the darkness shooting out towards her, and it was exposing for the sky, which was unfortunate, but is what it is. But because I've shot RAW rather than just JPEG, all the images were shot in RAW format. I can go in there and I can pull that back without you ever knowing that it was done that way. The JPEGs are really just a preview of the image at this stage. Whereas in the old days, I would actually just use the JPEGs, make a few tweaks, and away you go. The kind of work that I've been doing, well, the last kind of work I was doing, the JPEG is just a thumbnail so you can get an idea of what's on the picture, and then the RAW file is, I think the JPEGs were coming in about 13 megabytes each, so I couldn't send them on Discord, and the RAW files are about 30 each. So they're pretty big files. But that's because of all the data that goes with it. So I can completely change the exposures, color balancing, all that using the raw files. That's the point. Right, well, we can raid Ginger again, because I raided her yesterday. Or we could raid LTT, who is doing a live PC build with nearly 5,000 viewers. Ginger's got 197. She's doing a massive push at the minute. Minnie Morgan's on. I don't know why I followed Minnie Morgan. Why did I follow Minnie Morgan? She's got 37 viewers in. She's probably the lightest of all the streamers I follow at the minute. So, yeah, let's go raid Minnie Morgan. Wow, my laptop's really chugging now because it's trying to load the web stream. This laptop needs to be recycled. This is the end of its life. I can barely get OBS and a web browser running at the same time. I will. Yeah, I'll check it after, Brian. I had to close it just to keep this machine working. So let's get. I don't know what she's doing because it's taking forever to load her stream. I keep getting electric shocks off my drill. Don't know what that's about. Probably need to redo my raid message as well now that I've got my emotes. Now that we've got my proper emotes, my dragon and stuff, we need to redo the raid message. We'll talk about that another time, Brian, because I, for the life of me, don't know how to do that. Might have to rely on you there. Come on, why are you taking so long to load? Everything's chugging. I've been online for 3 hours and 10 minutes. I think Sam might have raided Minnie Morgan at some point. So no other reason why I would have her bookmarked as a friend. The raid or raid now and cancel buttons aren't even visible on my screen. That's how slow this is loading. This computer really can't cope. I need to get rid of this laptop. If I even buy a cheap $500 laptop, it would probably be doing better than this machine is right now. Either that or a wiper and start again. That might fix some of the problems. There's a ton of software loaded on here, which probably doesn't need to be used anymore, since I don't use this laptop for business anymore. I can't even start the raid because the button hasn't appeared in the corner of my OBS window. So I'm going to have to wait till it automatically counts down into the raid. So, thank you very much, guys. I'll be doing some more tomorrow because I've got to finish off the piece and doing some more VR driving maybe tonight and definitely tomorrow. I want to try and get a couple of laps in every day. But we are going to raid Minnie Morgan. Still can't remember how or why I've added her, but of all the people I've got that are online, she has the lowest number of viewers, and that's always a thing for us, going for the underdogs. So, I shall see you later, and thank you for joining.
Eric, you've just invented the chicken bazooka.
Yes. Yes.
We always knew that you had a
Special attack.
brilliant mind.
Special attack. We have to keep a chicken on hand at all
It'll be
times.
XX triangle chicken bazooka. That's both of the bumpers at the same time.
Right. Yeah.
I think that's going to be the process, because I know Dali's not in a huge hurry for this, but it would be nice to have the ability to make a duplicate in the future, just in case everyone gets damaged or gets lost. Having the ability to make another one relatively quickly, not from starting from scratch, would be very, very useful. So, as much as I want to get the enameling done, I think I shouldn't. Instead, I'm going to bag this up and get this ready to be sent down to our casters.
10 or below is a fail. 11 or higher